Oh, my fellow parents, we're going to have some fun today. Some fun. We're going to look at this really interesting research report that's out of Pew Research Center. It's entitled Parenting in America Today. Jordan, fill in that sentence. What's the first thing comes to mind? Parenting in America today, dot, dot, dot.
Ooh, parenting in America today is so difficult because tech is everywhere.
First thing to think of, yeah. Parenting in America today is so hard and confusing because just these screens and technology,
The
and that's the first thing I think
emotions.
of too. Yeah. Oh my
The
gosh.
emotions. It's like you can't even throw your own wisdom on your kids anymore because they're like, "Nuh-uh, dad, I just Googled it and here's the answer." And you're like, "Wait, wait a
I
second.
know
I'm
YouTube,
supposed to be the smart one here."
right? YouTube becomes their parent, and Snapchat becomes their social link. So, the Pew Research Center is legit. Everybody, they do some great work. You've heard of these think tanks. Well, Pew Research Center is a nonpartisan, non-advocacy fact tank that informs the public about the issues, attitudes, and trends shaping the world. It does not take policy positions. So we're going to have fun today. Here's what we're going to do. In a really kind of fun way, I'm going to read some of the research and the reports that Pew is announcing. And I'm going to do it in a way so you as you're listening here, you can compare yourself. Does your answer, does your parenting, does your family meet up with the norms of the research and the common, I guess, most popular answers? And you can kind of
Right.
learn about how your answers respond and how your parenting might be this way or that way. And I think it's going to be really fun. We have a lot of juicy stuff to talk about today.
Yeah, it'll let us know whether we're kind of part of the norm or
Mhm.
abnorm. Maybe we're above everybody else. Maybe we're below everybody else. But it'll be cool to learn what the norms are, and I think we could tell too. But we'll see.
And I think partly why people listen to podcasts is because even just setting your mind on important things, setting your mind on parenting, it just gives you it's just inspirational. It's just encouraging. It just helps us to be, the best parents we want to be. And that's why I love you, Jordan. I love being here with you. And let's have some fun making a podcast.
Amen, brother. Let's do it. All right. So what are some of these stats saying?
Okay, before we do, I want to give a shout out to somebody on Instagram wrote us. Her name is Holly Golly, and she just wrote this about a recent podcast we recorded. She writes, "Your podcast about how to have a great summer with your kids was so incredibly helpful. Can't wait to implement these ideas." And I just thought that was really
Nice.
nice.
Thank you.
Really
I
nice.
can't wait to hear what you do with your kids this summer. That's
Yeah, look.
exciting.
Yeah, we got we've got followers. Here we go. Remember this jam? Remember that jam from Will Smith in the late
Oh yeah.
1990s? It's like summer, summer, summertime. We've got
Summertime. I always think
listeners
of getting jiggy with it.
for all
Na
around
na
the
na na
world
na
in
na.
dozens of countries. And we just love hearing from you. So if you are listening to this podcast, please comment on my IG videos or go and leave us a 5-star review on iTunes and share a couple words about how this podcast is helping you, inspiring you. And I say this a lot. Doing this podcast is incredibly isolating. It's literally just Jordan and I here in our homes making this up as we go, and
Yeah.
we don't get
It's fun though.
very much feedback at all. And so the more we hear from you, we love it. It encourages us, and it's so wonderful. One of my favorite things, Jordan, has become, and I say this with just tons of humility, is people are stopping me on the streets quite a bit now, like around town.
Are you
And
serious? That's
yeah,
so funny.
and I was in Mexico on
Isn't it
vacation
weird?
recently and had like numerous people stop me in the airports and in the different countries, just thanking me for the videos and some about the podcast. And I just want to share that with you and say thank
That's
you.
cool.
And I want to share that with everyone listening. And thanks for just letting Jordan and I, be a part of your life.
Yeah, that's always so weird when you're just kinda, like, doing your own thing and someone says, "Hey, Sean Donohue, the parent coach." You're like, "Oh, geez, hey, what am I doing right now? Hopefully it's nothing awkward." Was I just picking my
Right.
nose or
If
something?
at the beginning it was weird. Now I just am so grateful that because it's just making these videos and doing this podcast can be kind of isolating. You're making, you're walking down
Yeah,
the streets, walking your dog and making a video. And now here we are. It's just you and I, just really glad to be here with you. Thank you.
me too, and we're helping you're helping so many people, so all right, let's figure out
All right.
why
So first, here's a
parenting
couple
today is
couple details.
difficult.
This is from Pew. They said how we did this. So Pew Research Center conducted this survey to better understand how American parents approach parenting. This
Okay.
analysis is based on 3,757 US parents with children ages under 18. The data is collected as part of a survey of parents with children younger than 18 around October of 2022. And then essentially what they did is that they have four different sections of this, and then what they do is they give you the general results, and then they kind of broke it down into gender parenting, race,
Okay.
ethnicity in parenting, and income parenting. But for the sake of just simplicity, we're just going to focus on the main results. Like this is
Okay.
what this is. So imagine if you live in if you're in a certain social economic bracket, you're going to be hearing from all the brackets. If you're a different
Good.
race or gender, you're going to hear from everybody. So the
Okay.
first big question that they asked is actually super appropriate. They asked parents, and let me ask you, I'll put you here on the spot. This is how we're going to play. Everyone ask yourselves, and I'm going to ask Jordan here live. All right, man, we got a lot of concerns as parents. We're scared. We're worried about our kids. I love to talk about this. I think we are a generation of scared parents. We are a generation of overwhelmed parents. And what is the number one concern that we have as parents? What did the survey say? So it's almost like a
So there's
game
no
show,
category. So this is
Family
just
Feud.
open,
Survey
free
says,
form.
yeah, 44 and 10 parents said, this is my number one concern. What do you think they said?
Um, well, I it changes as I kids get older. It was like, are they going to be self-sufficient and strong,
Mm,
and more
mhm,
of taking a leadership role?
mm.
Now it's like, are they going to be able to get a job with
Oh,
everything going to
interesting.
AI and tech? Like, can
Okay.
they be self-sufficient? So that's kind of where my
Oh,
head's at right now.
good.
Um,
So there's another question that's going to be coming up in about 10 minutes. And that was the number one answer that parents said,
oh, it
job.
was. Okay. All right.
Can they get a really good job? But that is not the number one concern or worry. The question
Will my
is a
kids
worry.
make
So let's
friends?
see. Is it even on the top one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight? No, that is
No.
not
Okay.
on the top eight. Is my kid gonna get a job when they're older? Worries. So friends, no, not on there.
No.
Number one worry is 4 and 10, 40% of parents said they are extremely worried about, is my child going to suffer from anxiety or depression?
Oh,
Percentage of
wow.
parents saying they are extremely worried that each of the following is happening to any of their children at some point. 36% said they are somewhat worried, and 23%, nope, I'm not worried at all. Number two is
Okay.
something that you've talked about on this show a lot. I'm really glad you have. Number two concern, being bullied.
Bullied, which kind of gets linked with anxiety and depression.
Hmm.
Yeah, bullying is definitely up there, and I was thinking about that one too. Um, and actually, I just had a conversation with my kids about it because I just got back from my 20-year high school reunion, which was hilarious, by the way. Okay,
Yes,
I just want
yeah.
to throw that
I
out
knew
there. It was
Jordan
so
when he
funny.
was a freshman in high
Oh
school. I'm
my
7
gosh,
years older. I knew all of
dude!
his
I went to the
friends.
steps where I met you. I was like, "This is where I met
Yes,
Sean." Thank you.
yes. Oh, okay, tell us
But
what's your biggest takeaway, from being in San Diego, hometown, 20-year high school
the biggest
reunion.
takeaway, everybody
What
said, "Is this weird?" And I said, "You know what? This is beautiful." Like, my kids are now playing with people I used to hang out
Oh,
with as
yeah.
kids. Maybe I
That's
got in
so
trouble with you.
nice.
Maybe we got good grades together. Maybe we did theater together. And now
Oh,
our kids are playing together. So,
nice.
like, the fact that they were all getting older and life is happening, I think was
Yeah.
the coolest thing about it.
Yes.
Um, but there was a moment we were driving and our kids go, "Hey, mom, dad, did you ever get bullied?" And I said, "Of course we did.
Wow.
Everybody gets
They
bullied,
asked
bro."
that.
Yes, they both
Wow.
asked. They were shocked. Like, "What? You got bullied?" And I'm like, "Yes." I
Wow.
was like, I was like, "School is all about figuring out how to be
Mhm.
a chameleon and
Mm,
not allow the bully to attack more than once. You
mm.
just sly and let it
Yeah,
like bounce
yeah.
off you, and then their
Right.
focus goes somewhere else. Don't be the one they pick
Wow.
on." And they
Man,
were
that is
shocked about that.
yeah, that's so interesting because, of course, we talked a little bit about bullying growing up, but now everybody knows, like, how devastating it is for
Like, we all
some
got
kids.
picked on, right? Like,
Right.
getting picked
Yeah,
on
yeah,
now is considered
yeah.
being bullied,
Even you
but
could
we
be
all
picked
got
on by
picked
your
on.
own friends, like, middle school
Of
boys are
course.
ruthless to each other. Middle school
Yeah.
girls they can be such backstabbers. That's a part of adolescence,
Right.
part of growing up, but like you said, it's a part of adapting to this.
Adapting.
Yeah.
So
Now,
important.
here's what we're gonna do. There's in each of these survey responses that I found, there's always one that I found to be very surprising. And
Okay.
there's some that I find very disturbing. And so here's one that I found disturbing and surprising, and I want to share my opinion and get your opinion on it. All right. So far we're at an number one struggle parents have is an internal. My child's internally struggling with their emotions, right? Depression. Number two, being bullied.
Okay.
And number three, of all the things on here, I find very shocking. Think of all the things that could be on here. Things that aren't number three: being beat up or attacked, having problems with drugs or alcohol, getting shot, getting someone
Oh,
pregnant or getting pregnant,
okay.
getting in trouble with the
Wow.
police. All right, these are all things.
Not number 3.
These are all top 8 lists, but it's not number 3. Number 3 is being kidnapped or abducted.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's
I
number
would have not
3.
put that in the top 8 at
Right,
all.
what is going on with American parents around the country? Lots of parents in this survey, and they are really afraid of their kid being kidnapped or abducted. 28% said, I'm extremely worried about that. 31% said somewhat worried. So if you add those numbers up, that's 59% are pretty dang worried about their child being kidnapped or abducted. Now, I don't want to judge these parents. I just want to be curious. And then 41%, I'm not at all or not too worried about that. So for me, I am not too worried about that. But does that tell what is that? Does that tell you about the neighborhood
Well,
I live
I was
in?
thinking,
Is
do
this
you remember
is it
that big movie that came out? It was called The Sound of Freedom, and it was about that. It was about sex
Oh,
trafficking, right?
I haven't seen
But
it, but I've heard it's
till
incredible.
that didn't come out till 2023. This survey was done in 2022. But
Mhm.
then you've got, like, more recently, Tim Tebow just went to, the US Capitol and was
Yeah,
talking about sex
yeah,
trafficking to
uh-huh,
senators in the House,
yeah,
and I think it's becoming more prevalent. I'm at the
right,
airport in Atlanta, and it says,
yeah,
"Hey," and there are signs everywhere,
oh my,
"This is what, predators would say." Um,
right.
and
But
so I
here's,
just
like
think there's more of an
okay, that's
awareness
good,
about them.
this is good awareness you're making it right now, but let me play the other side of the coin, okay?
Okay,
Can you do me a favor? As I talk right now, can you Google on your phone and Google, "What percentage of children are kidnapped?"
okay.
Something like that. So here's what the other side of the coin is that
In the US?
yeah, sure. Yeah, in the US or abducted. And let's see what Google says. Maybe Google now has AI built into it, so you probably get your answer pretty
Yes, it
quickly.
does.
Here's my
It
thoughts.
says
It's like
1 in 720,000 or close to 1 in a million
right, right.
are kidnapped,
A
ages
kidnap.
between 0 and 17.
And that's in America.
Uh, yes.
Right.
Yeah, in the US.
And so and then it would make me wonder, okay, there has to be like certain communities or places where kids are more kidnapped than others. Like in my
Right.
neighborhoods, my children are not typically kidnapped. So it's already at 1 close to a million. And so this is
Well, and then okay, so as
what
I look at other stats, childwatch.org
mhm.
estimated 800,000 children are reported missing each year.
Yeah, missing, but that could
More
be
than
runaway. I mean, I work with a lot of families
right,
and their kids are
correct,
running away and because they're like, "You
correct.
took my phone away and
And
I'm
this
out."
number 3 said what? They're worried about their kids being abducted, is that what number 3 was? Kidnapped.
Number 3, because here's the
Kidnapped.
other side of the coin, like, we've grown up here as adults. Our adult experience for the last 15 years, we've been watching, Facebook, and we've been listening to the news, and the news has become much more click-worthy, and they understand scare tactics, and if there's
Right.
a child that's kidnapped 7 states away, or missing, they're gonna make a news report out of it, and they're
You're
gonna
right.
say, "Here's"
Correct.
and then they're gonna follow up with, like, 7 things you need to do so your kid doesn't get kidnapped, and they're
Right.
just gonna scare you, and so I it makes me wonder how much has all this exposure to negative media played on our fears and it made us a generation of scared parents. We're afraid of letting our kid ride their bike to the park or walk to their school because we're
Right.
so afraid of kidnapping. And the question now I would wonder is maybe I'll Google this as you talk. Are kids kidnapped more today than they were, let's say, 20 years ago when you were in high school? I I would think that more kids are because there's more kids alive, right? There's more kids around.
Right.
So if you say like, yes, this many kids are kidnapped, well, yeah, that's because there's this many more kids alive, right? So the ratio.
Yeah.
But are kidnappings going up, or is just exposure and fear to kidnappings growing up?
That's the
I
multi-million dollar
just don't.
question.
I think I want to say in a wise way, I just do not think it's healthy for the majority of parents to be afraid of their kid being kidnapped. It's not good for the child. It's not good for your mental health. It's not good for your sleep patterns. But now keep this in mind. I don't know where you live. I just don't know if this is good for us. What are your thoughts?
No, I agree. I mean, it's not like us as parents ever not think about that. Or let me say it in a different way. I think about that with my kids all the time, but I'm not going to
Too.
let that hinder what I let them
Mm,
do. Now, I will make
mhm,
wise decisions on what they do. And
mhm.
guys, these days with tech, it's unbelievable. These air tags you can get, the smaller they're becoming, you could put them in their shoes, you could put them in their backpacks. You can find ways to make it to where you feel comfortable into knowing where they are so that if something did happen, you could at least pull it up on your phone and be like, hey, I know where my kid is, right? Watches nowadays that can triangulate their position. And I know it's kind of creepy because it's like I'm always keeping an eye on them. But remember back in the day, like, I mean, you had a dang triangle that could ring when you're out playing on the farm and saying, okay, it's dinner time. Now, I know the farm is different than the city, but what I'm saying is there were a lot of times when even my parents were out, my grandparents had no idea where they were till after dark. So, I mean, we
Yeah,
just have to
yeah.
find a way for us to get comfortable with it because it is
Right.
concerning. I think about it too,
Yeah, well,
but I do things to
people say
maybe
times have changed. Times have changed, and so my response to that is yes, of course they've changed. But what's changed is it the parents have changed and the parents are more afraid now, or is it really like we have a lot more kidnappers out there walking the streets? Is that what's changed? I don't have the research in front of me, but I'd like to believe that I think we don't have as many, we the kidnappers walking the streets. We have a lot of scared parents out there. I even type
Mhm.
into Google how many children were kidnapped in 1990, and now I'm not just going to sit here and go through these numbers, but I think that's enough. Shall we move on to the next thing in the survey?
Yeah,
All
let's
right,
do it.
all right, all right. Here we go. Most All right. Percentage of parents saying this: being a parent is blank. Being a parent is blank aspects to who they are as a person. Okay. So,
What?
option A, being a parent is the most important aspect to who I am as a person.
Okay.
Or B, being a parent is one of the most important aspects to who I am as a person. What do you think number one answer is? Being a parent is the most important part of who I am, or being a parent is one of the most important parts of being who I am?
I would think people would answer it as the latter, one of the most. But I think
57% of parents said it's one of the most important.
right,
30% says it's the most important aspect to who I am. And it makes
right,
you wonder, like, if you're a stay-at-home parent and you're taking a survey, it kind of would make sense. We're like, yep, that's the most important thing. Like, especially if you have young children, there's no
sure.
judgments. Like, if we don't need to get into the pros and cons, but like, okay, what the dangers of these answers. How about next one? How would you rate the job you do as a parent?
Ooh, this is good.
Excellent or
Got it.
very good? There's only 2 options. Excellent or very good. How many parents do you think picked excellent? What percentage picked excellent?
33.
And how many think you picked very good?
I mean, I think you'd have the rest, 66.
Okay, no.
67.
16% said excellent.
Oh, okay, so less than 20%. Alright.
I don't think I'm like the family coach, and I would not say excellent for myself.
I don't think a lot of us would, that's why it's so low.
Yeah,
You would
yeah.
just put very good.
But
Being excellent,
what does that tell you about a parent who checked excellence? It's kinda shady.
I it's like, "Damn, it's like, I look good. I know I'm a
I
10."
know, I'm an
It's like,
excellent
no, it's like, you gotta be
parent.
humble.
Look at my kids. Like, if you wrote excellent, you've probably got some
Yeah,
problems. That's our
you
social
got some
commentary. All right, being a parent has blank. All right, being a parent it has been a lot harder compared to how I thought being a parent would be, or
Ooh.
being a parent is somewhat harder.
Um, well, that depends on what stage of life you're in. I would say when I first had my kids, it was a lot harder, and
Oh,
now it's
a lot
somewhat
harder.
harder
Oh, interesting.
because you go from being, with no one, just your spouse and maybe a dog,
Right.
and then you have this other being there. I was like, "Oh my gosh," and then you don't sleep, and you gotta still work, and you know what I mean?
I totally agree. I totally agree. That's why one of the most comforting things I think I like saying to my friends and even clients who have kids kind of like 7 and under is like, this is hard. Like the naps,
Tough.
the 2 naps a day, the tantrums, the emotions. I agree with
You know what's
you.
funny though? As you
Yeah,
get older and you look back at those with 7-year-olds or younger, you're like, "Gosh, you have it so easy.
I
I
know.
have teenagers
I know.
now."
That's how a lot of people feel. That's how a lot of people feel. All right. All right. How
Uh,
about this? All right. Parenting styles. I really like this one. All right. What did the research say about parenting styles? When asked whether they're a parent who tends to stick to their guns too much or give in too quickly, praise or criticize their children too much, be overprotective or give too much children, push their children too hard or not enough. You ready to hear what people said? Okay. All right. Ask yourself. All right. Percentage of parents saying they are a parent who tends to give too much freedom or be overprotective. Which one do you think? This is a pretty big difference here.
Too much freedom.
So you think the majority of
Majority,
2024 parents or 2020 parents said, "Oh, I'm giving my kids too much freedom."
I think so.
Okay, why do you think that?
Because I think it's so easy to just put them on a phone or put them on an
Mhm.
iPad and put them in the corner. And
Right.
so when you don't give them freedom, you're being asked as a parent to step up your game and interact with them. And sometimes you're so overwhelmed, you just need to get dinner done, go through bills,
Right.
wash the car,
Yeah.
whatever, clean the
Yeah.
house, and you need them to
Yeah.
just so that's
Okay.
my thought process. Or you're grounded tomorrow and then you don't ground them.
You're dead wrong, dude.
Really?
You're
But
way
I
off.
see it as anecdotal, but I see it
I
all the
know.
time.
I'm gonna get salty right now because I'm really vibing with you. 45% of parents that took this survey said I'm overprotective.
Yep, but I think they're looking at maybe
Right.
just, one category of
They
being
are.
overprotective.
They're giving their kids screens and social media, and then they're saying I'm overprotective.
Right, exactly.
Right?
Like, I know who they're friends with. I let them go out only a little bit, it's like, but
Right. And
yeah,
34%, I'm neither. Right? Which one are you, everybody? Ask yourself this next question. What type of parent are you? Do you give in too quickly or do you stick to your guns too much? All
oh,
right.
geez, that's a tough one
Which
for
one?
me, for guys.
I
I say
definitely,
moms,
uh,
I'm
I
gonna shout it
definitely
out
give
there,
in too quickly. I give in too
moms
quickly.
give in too
I
quickly,
give in too
right?
quickly.
Yeah.
I do.
Dads, I do too sometimes.
You do.
Actually, let's be honest, Jordan, majority of the
I
time I
don't
do.
stick. Yeah.
When I stick to my guns, it becomes a huge ordeal.
I know.
I'm
I
trying to stick to my
know.
guns, and it becomes a huge ordeal. I'm like, it's just
I
easier to
know.
let it go.
It's so much harder too with older teenagers because you're sticking to your guns. It means they're really coming at you over and over.
Yeah.
And you have to ask yourself, like, okay, is this the battle I want
Am
to
I being
pick?
a bad dad
Right.
by saying
Am I hurting
right,
the relationship right now? If I stick to my guns here, are they going to start lying to me? Are they going to go behind my back?
right,
I feel like
right.
right. And then if you have younger kids, if you stick to your guns, you're getting the temper tantrum and the whininess. It's so tough to stick to
I know,
it's so tough.
I know.
All
So where's this
right.
gray media? I don't know where we need to be, but
Okay, this
I
one here.
ugh,
This next question.
that's
This
a
is
tough
so
question.
applicable. How would you answer this, everybody? All right. You're a parent. You have a survey, and you would say, "Nope, I do not push my children hard enough," or "I push my children too hard." What is your response? You push your children too hard or not enough? Or you could go neither, of
I'm
course.
neither. I'm
Neither.
neither.
I feel neither too. Biggest answer was neither. So that means
Yeah,
45% of parents said I'm right in that sweet spot. And then
that's good.
30% says I don't push them hard enough. And 25% I push them too hard. Right? Now, how about
Okay.
this one? Praise too much, criticize too much, or neither? What's your answer there?
Neither. Geez, I don't know. I was just playing tennis with my kids, and I was I was like, "What are you guys doing? Where are you hitting the ball? Come on, get it straight. What's wrong with your arm?" So I was, like, criticizing too much when I should have been like, "Good job, way to go." And I'm like,
Yeah,
"Yeah, maybe I criticize too
yeah.
much," but I don't. I think I'm neither. That was just that day.
Yeah. Remember, this is a great, great tool. This has got to be one of my top 10 things I think about in my family life, my marriage. It's the 5-to-1 ratio, right? It's like we are going to have those critical moments. We need to be coaching our kids, we need to be correcting them, we need to be guiding them. But, with our kids, we've got to earn the right to be heard. And you got to remember these cliches like, they don't care what you know until they know that you care. Connection before
Yeah,
correction. So, yeah, for me, it's neither either. Neither also. Neither either.
yeah.
All right, let's move on. All right, I really like this one. This is
Good.
another one
These
where
are
I
good.
think it would be very thought provoking. Okay. All right. Comparable shares of raising their kids. All right. All right. Are you raising your kids? Let me retake it, re-say it again. Are you raising your kids similar to how you were raised? Or differently from your own upbringing. All right. Now, if
Ooh,
you
that
listen to this podcast,
you're doing it differently.
you're doing it differently,
That's
right?
right.
You're
Yeah.
you're doing it differently. I'm oh my gosh, so different. So different. At
Yeah,
first, when I
different stuff.
started, remember when we first started making this podcast, I was like really concerned. Like, what if my parents listen to this? Like, how do I
Right.
honor my parents
Yeah.
and with telling my own story? And I remember my mom, she's not listening to this, thank God, so I can say this. I was like, gosh, if she hears this, this is gonna break her heart. And she had some strong words for me about this
Yeah.
podcast. I almost said
That's
nasty
right.
emails, and then I took it back. She and I was like talking to my wife about it. I just feel like, I gotta just tell my story. I gotta go. All right. So how about
Yeah,
you?
and
You
a lot of us
parenting?
can relate with that. That's the beauty of it. Like,
Mhm.
you never did anything to, harm anyone's character. You're just like, "I love my parents' death, and, this is how I was raised, so it made me be better."
Yeah.
And they're with me now. We're still, in a
Yeah.
relationship, and
Yeah.
it's just
So
I
how about
get it.
you?
It's a
What's your
different
answer?
time. I mean, our parents, let's be real, our parents were raised different than the way their
Yeah.
parents were raised, you
Right.
know? We're
Everyone's
all
trying to do
different.
better, so they should take it as a compliment. Hey, good job, mom. You raised a
Yeah.
kid who you wants to be better than how you were. That's the goal. Is what do
Yeah,
you want to
that's
be
the
worse than
goal.
you? What you I'm
Right.
worse. My goal is to be worse, be a worse parent than
Right.
my parent, and that's how bad I want to be. All right. So, which of these do you relate with? Your parenting style is very similar, somewhat different, or very different, very similar, very different, or neither, about the same? Which one do you relate with? Pretty similar, pretty different, or very?
Um, I'd say right in the middle, similar. Oh, no,
Okay.
hold on. Yeah, not a very and not a less than, but, like, in the
Okay.
middle, I see some things I do, and I do think some things differently.
So you're in the minority. I think you're in the
Oh,
12% category. So it's like neither similar nor different. It's kind of similar. It's like, it sounds like you're in the middle.
yeah,
Not
it's similar,
wildly
but it is
different, not
different.
wildly the same.
Not wildly different.
If you had
I
to
guess the
choose,
biggest thing
is it
for
a
me
little
is
bit different or a
I
little
mean,
bit the same? Like which one?
I I think for me, the biggest thing is my parents were divorced, so I was getting 2 kinds
Mhm.
of parenting. I'm with my
Yeah.
spouse now, so we're co-parenting. So
Yeah.
it's like that's
Right.
the main difference. I try to
Mhm.
use some things and, but I guess no. I mean, we're definitely different,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
not like drastic, not
Yeah, not
drastic.
drastic. Yeah, I would say for me and my family, I'd say it's very, very drastic. All right. Yep. And what's interesting about this is that fathers are more likely to say they're raising their children a similar way than how they were raised. 47%. That really makes sense. Men can be very stubborn. They can be slow
Uh-huh.
learners. Men normally have lower EQ than women do. And so half the men saying this, nope, I know how to raise the kids. It's just how
Right.
I was raised. Right.
Right, correct. Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
need to
that's
read
right.
no parenting book. Right.
That's exactly
That's my
right.
man voice right there.
Uh-huh.
All right,
I
we
need
got a
to go
couple
back to
more.
that
All right, this
style
is
of
fun.
parenting.
All right, ready? How about this? All right. Percentage of parents saying that they feel judged by each of the following for how they parent their children. Ooh,
Oh,
feeling
this is gonna be high
judged.
for everybody, I'll tell you right
Feeling
now.
judged. Percentage of parents saying they feel judged. All right, so let's go with this. How many parents say that they feel judged by their spouse or partner? Always, sometimes, or rarely slash never. Let's say always are judged. So this is think about this. Like if you're listening to this, you say, I feel so judged by my spouse.
Always. Majority is always.
Or you're like, you know what, I know my spouse feels judged by me. This is
And
what do you
let's
think the
remember,
biggest number is? Biggest
this
number.
survey taken with what? 3,000 some individuals with kids between what? 0 and 18, is that what
Yeah.
you said in the
Yeah.
beginning, I believe?
Mhm.
So, the younger parents are gonna say always. I believe the older parents who've been together longer are gonna say never because
Oh,
they've had time
interesting. Let me see if I
to
can
not
read this
learn.
article or the research quickly so I can see how it breaks down by age. I don't think I have that in front of me, but
That's okay.
essentially what they're saying is that the number one answer is rarely or never. Half the parents said, I almost never feel judged by my spouse or
Yeah,
partner.
right. The majority of people's fights are about money and
Rarely
children,
or never. That's what it says. So if
but we
that's
know
you, just
this.
hold on. Let's just celebrate that for a second. You're getting all negative. I'm getting
No,
all
no,
positive.
these people are lying, Sean Donohue. These
They're
are
liars.
liars.
No,
They're
they're
not
saying
telling the truth.
half. Half these people are like, look, I don't feel judged by my spouse and how I parent. That's a great number. Now, 35% sometimes. Yeah, sometimes I feel judged.
Yeah, but
I feel that way. Feel sometimes judged.
but
Like
let's talk about
that's
everyone who
reality.
listens to your podcast and says, "Hey, I can't get my husband to listen to you, blah blah
Mhm.
blah." Already they're being judged by their spouse. Everyone who
Yeah,
listens to this,
yeah.
the other
Okay.
spouse is judging them before they
Yeah.
listen
Okay,
to
okay.
this podcast.
Okay.
I know that's anecdotal and that's not part of the study, but what I'm saying
Yeah,
is
yeah.
I don't believe that answer. I
Yeah.
believe all of them think they're being judged by their spouse.
Hmm. Well, only
Especially
18% says always or very often do I feel judged by my spouse.
okay, fine.
Okay. How about this one? All right, I'll do one or two more on this category. Judged by their parents or their
Okay.
spouses or partner's parents. These are the same
All right.
numbers. All right. This is so true. Some of you have such judgmental parents. They're the
Yeah.
grandparents and they be
Yeah.
judging you. This
Yes,
kid
they
needs
do.
more discipline. Why do you let
Uh-huh.
Johnny speak to you this way? Why do you give him that
Uh-huh.
screen? Or
Right.
oh, why do you give him only organic food? Like, why do you give him so much junk food? Like, so, dude,
Uh-huh.
that generation is so judgy. Are we going to be judgy like them? They are judgy.
Dude, that's a good question. And you know what? We need to think about that. When we get to that age when our kids are
We
having kids,
do.
like, we need to not be judgy.
I'm pretty surprised how low these numbers are, though. All right,
All
how?
right,
What's your
give
guess?
it to
They're
us.
the
Yeah,
same.
it's because all these people are liars. Okay, read it to me.
Well, it says here that only 14% are saying I feel very judged by my parents or my, and we'll call them in-laws. Only
Okay,
14%,
well,
always,
very judgy.
always being judged by about
Okay.
Karen. I got a Karen, and my mom's a Karen, and she's judging me, or my mother-in-law. 14% of
Apologies to all you named
mother-in-laws are
Karen out there.
Karening out there. That should be like something on social media right there. 14% of you send this to your mom, everybody. Send this video. Stop Karening me. Right.
Okay, what's the other number? So that was
Um,
very judged. What's the other one? Just judged?
29 to 27%. I sometimes feel judged by my parents.
So almost, a
A
quarter
third.
to a
Yeah.
third almost.
Yeah.
Sometimes feel judged?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then my answer would be in about 50%, rarely or never. Yeah, we do not feel judged by our parenting here in this house. We don't have any judgy uh, grandparents. How about you? What's your answer? What's
Yeah,
your answer?
mine's on the lower side too, but I
Yeah.
do know that it was a little bit of a wake up call for them when we decided like no to spankings or really crazy
Oh,
timeouts or
yeah,
things like
yeah,
that. I mean, they probably are like, wait, why not? We do it all the
yeah.
time.
Okay.
But now that they're aware of it, it's NBD, no big deal.
And BD. Okay, everybody, I have two more surveys, and you have to hang in for the last survey because I found it to be really, really, really interesting. Okay, ready? Here we go. Let's go with this one. Oh, this one is juicy. I'm going to skip to the end. All right. Percentage of parents saying it's extremely or very important for them that their children blank as adults. Blank as adults. Before I read you the options, what's your guess? Number one answer.
It's what I started with, right? Get a job, take care of your family, right? Like,
I think I skipped that one. Let me go back. That is
okay,
that is the number one answer. Let's see. Here it is. On one of the questions. Here it comes. Um, parents. saying it is extremely important to find their children do each of the following as adults. Number one answer, be financially independent.
Okay.
88%.
Yes.
Also, number one answer, have jobs that they enjoy.
Good.
41% earn a college degree. And that, of
Okay.
course, is really different. Listen to this stat about college. 70% of Asian parents say that it is extremely or very important to them for their kid to get a college degree. Makes sense with the stereotype, right?
Yeah.
70%.
Okay.
Compared to 50%, 57% of Hispanic parents, 51% of Black parents, and just 29% of white parents. Isn't that
Huh.
interesting?
I think times are changing when it comes to the college degree idea.
As for me, I mean, I've got master's degree, and
Yeah.
I don't really feel like my kids have to go to college.
I mean, I think we need to get back to being entrepreneurs, start your own business, go
Mm.
on an adventure that like
Yeah,
creates your own financial
yeah.
future rather than giving someone else's dream a reality by becoming an employee. But,
My That's
you
what my
know,
oldest daughter did. She had grades to get into good colleges, but she decided, I don't want to. I want to go start a business in sales. So she went to go in a sales position. She got promoted. She got another promotion. She got another promotion all while she was 18 years old. And then at 19, started at 18, she started her own business. It became official when she was 19, and she's doing well. And then a couple of weeks ago,
she's got her own business as a 19-year-old right now.
she does, yeah. And then
That's amazing.
she said, "You know what? I'm working so hard and it's going very well, but I don't want to be doing this when I'm 19. I'm exhausted. I'm 19. I'm going to." And so she quit and she's moving back home to try to do something else.
I was going to ask if that business was profitable. I know how hard it is to start your own
Yes,
business. So,
very profitable. But
wow.
she just decided, look, I don't that's not what I'm about right now. I'm not This is not my calling. This is what I don't feel driven to just work 40 to 60 hours a week and make good money.
Yeah.
I This is not what I want to be doing. So how cool is it? The
Okay.
story is that. I
That's
think it's a
pretty
great story.
wise from a 19-year-old.
I know. So yeah, we're happy to have her. All right. Now this one's really interesting. Okay. What percentage of parents say it's extremely important to them that their children be honest and ethical? What number would you say? They said it's extremely important that my children become honest and ethical. What number would you guess?
The percentage of people who would agree with that statement.
Yeah, extremely important.
Um,
We have extremely important and then we have
okay.
very important.
Those are the only two options.
That's it.
Okay. Well, then that changes my idea of the percentage. Let's say, yeah, 65% extremely important.
You're correct. 66%.
Okay.
And then
Wow, that's pretty
very
good.
important says 28. Which is kind of interesting. Why wouldn't you say extremely important that your kids be honest and ethical? Only like it's like B. I need my kids to be a B in honest
Right.
and
Is there
ethics.
a C? Is there a different? Is there a none of the
No,
above?
no.
Like,
They're just 66 plus 28 is 94%. So 48% said it's extremely important for my kids to be hardworking. 40% said somewhat very important. Be someone who helps others in need.
huh.
40% was the number one answer. And then let's jump down to something very, very interesting. This really makes sense. Have similar political beliefs to me. How many said
Ooh,
it's
that's
extremely
tricky.
important?
How many said
How
extremely
many
important?
how many said it's extremely important my kids have the same beliefs from me?
Oh, 80%.
4%.
4?
Mhm.
That's
Interesting. Isn't that
crazy.
interesting? I did not
That
see that
is
coming.
interesting. Well,
How
obviously,
about
it's your loved one, so, like, it's like no matter what, it doesn't matter. You're
Yeah, it's
still gonna love your
extremely yeah,
child.
these are like extreme right wingers or left wingers, right? Extremes of the
I do
extremes, right?
have a colleague in his family, his daughter has a completely different viewpoint than him, and it is
Yeah,
hard for him. He's like, "I don't
yeah,
understand how
right.
my daughter thinks." And they're so
Yeah,
different
right,
in the way they think
right.
about stuff.
If
It's
you're a
so funny.
professional politician, you would just
Yeah.
be honest, like, "Yeah, it'd be extremely important that my kids are on the same page." But the next answer would be very important in 12%. But this next 12% said that. This one I found to be probably the most shocking thing I've read in this entire survey as we come to the last two questions. This is the second to last one. Percentage of parents think it's extremely or very important for their children to have similar religious beliefs to their own. All right, take a guess. What do you think it is? Similar religious beliefs. How many said it's very extremely important that my kids have similar beliefs to me?
Maybe I should have put an 80% on that one.
Hmm.
Is that too high?
So you think 80% of parents said it's extremely important that my kids have the same beliefs as I do.
I mean,
This is fun. It's just like a
yeah,
little game
this
show we
is fun.
invented. You get
I
some
mean, what's
points.
cool is like it's America, so we have a blend of so many beliefs and so many religions and so
Mhm.
many backgrounds. Some of
Yeah,
them are more strict than others.
sure.
Some people are more free than others.
Yeah,
So, I mean, depending on who they pulled from, I might be
yeah.
saying a little high. But I still think it's the majority. So let's say
Mhm.
70%.
Way off.
Oh
Yeah,
my
the number is
gosh.
very, very low.
Really?
Really very low. Not as low as
Do you find that to be
politics.
accurate?
I don't
Do
know,
you
man. I'm
find that
just reading the research report. These are
No,
like
I'm not asking. I'm asking Sean Donohue, the family coach who has met with so many
I
families
do. Let me
with
tell
different
you, here's
backgrounds.
my social commentary on these numbers. First off, 70% of parents said it's extremely important my kids have the same religious beliefs as me. 17.
Oh, wait, that's what I said. 17.
Yeah.
I said 7D.
And only
Oh my goodness.
18% said it's very important. So essentially 35% of parents saying, "You know what? It's really important to me that my faith, my spirituality is passed on to my kids."
Only
35%.
35%. And the rest say they don't care.
Right, the rest said something else. So that would be 35% would be 65%. So let me tell you my social commentary on this. As somebody who loves my own spiritual beliefs, like when I say love, that's an understatement. Like I am so in love with my own religion, my faith. It meant so
Right.
much to me. It is who I am. It's got me through so much. It brings me so much hope and joy and order and vision for my life and my internal life, for my marriage, for my morals, for how I want to raise my kids. My answer would be either extremely important or very important. I think it'd be extremely important.
Right.
I would be in the
And when you
17
look at
because I would be
the
lying
majority
if I didn't say extremely because that doesn't mean I'm gonna force it on them. I'm just saying it's
right.
extremely important to me, just like it's extremely
Correct.
important to me that you know, like, my kids are
My kids
healthy and
get good
happy.
grades or
Right.
yeah, happy.
Good
Yeah,
things.
totally. Yeah.
But I
That's
think
why I find these numbers shocking because when you look at the majority of America, you still have a above
Mhm.
50% who has this kind of background and
Yeah,
belief of
right.
believing in something.
Yeah. So here's my
S
commentary is that that could mean that 65% of the Americans who took this survey, they do not have a religious belief that they love so much that they want to pass to their kids.
Right.
Isn't that interesting? It's like they either
That's
like it or
interesting.
they don't like it or they don't have one. It's like why would you want to pass on something that you don't love? You only
Right.
want to pass on something that you really love or that
Right.
really means something to you.
And that has helped you and you've seen it and it helps define you because almost if your kid doesn't see you or see that part of you, they're rejecting that part of you.
Mhm. Right. So the best way for us to pass on things that we love and we care about, whether it be like financial sense or
Uh-huh.
morals, hygiene, good oral hygiene, savings, spirituality, charity, is to burn with such a passion for it, to bleed in such a lovely, positive, inviting way that your kids see it. They see your passion. They see how much goodness it's bringing to you and to others and to the world. And then they look at you and they say, wow, maybe I want some of that. That looks really interesting. That has meant so much to my parent and has brought
Mhm.
them so much goodness. I think I want to copy that. Right.
I mean, amen to that. But you know what the reality is? We have some people that look at life that way and they learn. And then we have people also who look at and be like, ugh, they think they're so high and mighty
Right.
and they
Right.
just get everything. They're
Yep.
so lucky. They
Yep.
always get what they want, blah,
Right.
blah, blah,
Yep.
looking at it the other way.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
it's all about viewability, how you view life too.
Yeah, how you view like, taking that same point, what I thought of is if you're one of those parents, you're extremely, extremely scared of your kids getting kidnapped, it's gonna leak out of your parenting. You're gonna talk about fears, you're gonna be overprotective, you're going to put your kids you're gonna put your fears on your kids, and then instead of them just going out to enjoy a day at the park or at a school dance, they're gonna have this scary voice. Your voice is gonna
Uh-huh.
become their inner voice, and then when they become parents, do you think they're gonna be like, you know what? I want to raise my kids the same way that my parent raised me, to be as scared of everything. They're not gonna do that because it's not good. It's not helping anybody, right?
It's not healthy.
It's not healthy to be overly afraid of your kid being
Right.
kidnapped when the research just doesn't support it. It just means you've been watching too much scary news. Let's go on to the very last one. We did it. You ready for the
Okay.
last one?
Okay.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Well,
Yeah.
this one is really, really lovely. And that's why I wanted to leave it for the last. All right. The vast majority of parents say being a parent is blank. The words we're going to choose from are rewarding.
Beautiful, enjoyable,
And
rewarding,
And rewarding, you picked one of them. Enjoyable, tiring,
stressful.
or
Okay.
stressful. Here's your options. Ready? Percentage of parents saying that they find being a parent to be rewarding, enjoyable, tiring, and stressful. All of the time. How many parents said it's
All
all
of
of the
the
time
time.
it's rewarding versus most of the time? Some said all of the time it's rewarding. How many said that?
5%.
36%. It's
These
always
numbers are ridiculous.
You're
These
laughing.
numbers are so
It's
ridiculous.
kinda like, "Come on, dude, you be
I don't know how to
lying."
get into the psychology of these people.
Well,
Okay,
the
36%
second
say it's always
the
rewarding
number one
when that
answer
kid
was,
goes poop and takes his hands down his diaper and rubs it all over your
"Oh,
walls.
dude,
It's
dude,
rewarding.
raising teenagers is so hard." Like, they sleep, till 10 or noon, and then they're gonna stay up all late, and they're like so for the number one answer is most of the time it's rewarding, 44% most of the time.
Yeah,
Would you
that makes sense.
would you say most of the time it's rewarding, or would you say sometimes?
Oh, I would say most of the time.
Most of the time. How about
I would.
enjoyable? All right. How many said it's all the time it's enjoyable? How many said
I'm not guessing anymore.
25%? They'd be lying, man. No,
45%?
20, 25.
Oh, 25.
Number
That
one
makes more
answer
sense.
was most of the time it's enjoyable. I don't
Yes,
know.
most of the time.
Most of the
There are
time?
some hard times. Yeah,
Most of the time
majority.
or
I'd say
sometimes? Or most? Yeah, it is most of the time would
for
be
me, I
51% is
enjoy.
most of the time.
Yeah,
51%
yeah.
is most of the time. How about this one? I don't understand the survey, some of these things. Tiring all the time or most of the time? It doesn't too bad we don't have sometimes in there.
Right.
How
Most of
about
the
so
time. Is it most of
tiring?
the time?
Number one answer was most of the time is
Yeah, most of the time.
28%. Tiring,
It's tiring.
14%. And
Yeah.
stressful all the time. How many parents said it's all the time stressful? Because yeah, if you've got like three kids, my mom had three kids in diapers. I mean, three kids in diapers, man. I mean, that's stressful all the time.
Well, let me get into the psychology of who took this test. The number third answer at the beginning of your question was worrying that their kids were going to get
Oh,
kidnapped.
that's so
So
good.
if we're
Who
wondering how stressful people are, it's going to be a
right,
high number.
right. But or let's just have compassion for those people. Maybe like if you live in some of the inner cities, because they said in this that we went to all these neighborhoods to find
Sure.
people.
No, I get it.
Maybe people really, really are a lot scared of sex trafficking and kidnappings than people living in the suburbs or something.
Correct. And
Oh,
that's
you
why
cut
that
out.
survey
Or is that
Yeah,
that?
sorry. I hit my microphone and just went
Yeah.
everywhere. That's why in the survey, I mean, you said it breaks down all these categories. So anyone's interested, they can kind of look at it to see, where they lie. If they're an inner city listener, if they're a suburb listener, if they're, make this much money in their tax bracket or this much, and maybe it'll break it down that way.
Yeah, man. Well, hey, we did it, man. We got through the basics
This
of parenting
ridiculous
in
survey.
America today. Parenting in America today. And I just think that um I hope that whatever you are feeling right now, I hope that you choose to be grateful. I'm going to choose
Me
gratefulness
too.
right now. I don't care how my numbers compare to this survey. I'm just grateful for my kids. I'm grateful that today is a new day and that I can choose my own joy, choose my own happiness. I can choose love despite my circumstances. And I'm just grateful that there's not one way to raise a great kid. You know,
Truth.
there's not one
Statement.
neighborhood. There's a
Right?
whole bunch of ways to enjoy your parenting and raise great kids. And I'm just grateful for that. And that's
I
something that
love it.
comes out for me when I hear all this research.
I'm grateful that when we hear this, we still have the power in ourselves to change the way we think about things and change the
Good.
way we parent about things.
That's
If we were
good.
stressed about X, Y, or Z, we don't have to going
Wow.
forward.
Wow.
So either way you look at it is you can change different things and ways you look at life and how you parent. And ultimately, that's why we're here to listen, to learn, and to get better.